what I want to share with you today so that you don't freak out if this platform, for example, goes down, or Instagram or LinkedIn, wherever your contacts are online, how you can bulletproof this so that you don't lose touch with any leads and prospects and clients. And we tend to forget that we don't own these platforms. So what happens when these platforms go down? We're like out of luck if we're not actually collecting their name, whether it's first and last name, email definitely, and I would even try to get their phone number, okay? I actually had 2 phone calls today. Phone calls, yes, actual real live phone calls, like on the phone like this, I was talking. Okay, so what I want to walk you through today are 3 ways that you can do this. And I'm going to give you examples of all 3 because this is not rocket science. This is not hard to do, but it is something that you definitely should think about if you don't have, or if you haven't been collecting any of that information, okay, from your online audience. So today, what I want to share with you is how, once again, you do not own the internet, and how to bulletproof your business so you never lose touch with your leads. Okay. So this is actually, I don't know about you, but I've seen this happen with, for example, Facebook, where Facebook has gone down for an entire day and people were like freaking out. Honestly, for me, I'm like, okay, I have the day off. Because I don't have to do anything. I can't run my clients' ads. I can't pay attention to them. I also can't see what's going on online on their social media accounts because it's down. So lucky for me, I have a day off. But many people freak out because they're like, oh my gosh, my entire business is inside of these social media apps. So with one glitch, one server crash, right? Or one platform being banned, most likely going to lose your audience, right? So I'm not saying not to panic, but what I am saying is it's time to get smart. We are all CEOs, right? You are the chief executive officer of your business, okay? And if you're not collecting your audience's information with their approval, by the way, then you don't have a business asset. You just have followers, right? And followers will disappear when the platform goes dark. So let me put it this way. Offline, you'd never go to a networking event, meet 50 people, hopefully not, and not get anybody's contact information. And that could look different nowadays, right? So many times now, when I go to networking events, we're not even handing out business cards. I'm actually sharing my contact info through my iPhone, okay? Or I'll text someone right away, or I'll have them take a picture of my card. That way they always have it and they don't lose it, right? But the point is that you collect people's information. And I'm not talking about social security numbers. We're just wanting to know, to have information on how to be able to contact that person, right? And online, this is the same thing that you need to be doing. But what happens is you post, right? You post something, maybe you do an activation post because you've learned that from me and it's working really well. And you're getting people to raise their virtual hands, which now they're becoming a lead. You DM them, you have a great conversation, but then all of a sudden the platform goes dark and you're like, oh shoot, how the hell do I reach back out to this person, right? And so if you're running your entire business, and many of you are, you're running your entire business online because you did not build an offline presence, or maybe you went from corporate to the online space. So this is a must. Okay. I want to talk a little bit of the fundamentals about this too, because one thing that we do, and I'm going to use the word funnel. Okay. But I don't want you to think of a funnel as the technical stuff. Many times when we use that word funnel, people are thinking, oh, a funnel, you mean like a landing page where I send them a page with a form and then they fill that form out and then it funnels them into my CRM. No, that's not exactly what I mean. Okay. But what we want to do is, in order to bulletproof our business, we need a system that moves them from off of these platforms into our own connections by building a very simple funnel. And it's not the techie funnel that I'm talking about. This is not like landing pages, automations, and triggers, although I will talk about that in a second. What I'm talking about is a process that helps you start a conversation with someone, then deliver value to them. Maybe it's a resource, maybe it's a video, maybe it's something that they can download. And then in return, you're asking for permission to capture their contact information, at least their first name and their email address. And I would take it a step further and ask for their last name if you don't see that or if you don't get it, and their phone number. Okay. It could be as simple as, all right, somebody raising their hand from a post, right? So let's say, for example, for this training today, I said something to the effect of, if you want to know how to bulletproof your business, I'm going to share ways that we do that. Who wants to know, right? So everybody that raises their hand, I would actually reach out to in a DM and say, perfect. By the way, I have a guide for this. Do you want access to it? Great. What's your email? Right? So right away, I would ask for your email address. And you can do this on all platforms. That's how simple that this can be. So here's 3 ways to actually do this. Okay. I'm going to give you 3 different options. The first one is the manual method. Okay. And this is where everyone honestly should start before you build anything on autopilot. I believe at least, do this a few times to get into the rhythm and to see what your system should be built as if you do this on automation. But the manual system is something as simple as when someone comments on a post because you offered something and they said yes, that they want this, right? You're going to send them a DM and you're going to remind them, by the way, and I'm not going to go through the whole script of what we say in the DMs. I do actually have a training on that. I'd have to find it. But if you want to know about that, just say DMs and I'll get you that training. So you don't want to just send them the resource, right? Before you actually send them the resource, you want to say something like, hey, thanks so much for your comment on my post about blank. I'm so excited to be able to send this to you. Can you please send me your email address so that I'm able to send that out to you via email, right? And then you want to have a simple spreadsheet, Google Sheet, wherever, maybe it's just a document. I don't know, when you're first starting. And you want to make sure to track that conversation. What day did you send them that or reach out to them? What is their first name, their last name? What is their email address? What is their phone number if you ask for that? What is it that you were offering and that you were going to deliver to them? And any notes. Put that on a spreadsheet. We actually give you these kinds of resources, not only the scripts, the plug and play scripts that we customize together with you on our calls, but also a spreadsheet to do this manually. That's like the bomb. And by the way, part of this like manual method, for example, is what we help you co-create on our calls, and also the other methods too. But a lot of clients in the beginning, we want them to start manually, right? Start manually tracking these conversations. But the idea here, no matter which method you take, is to get people off of the platforms, get your audience that is raising their hands and engaging with you, get them off of the platform into your own email database. They've got to get in there. If not, if something goes dark, you're going to be like out of contacts, right? And we don't want that. So even if you're not using a fancy system, this manual process that I just mentioned is going to get you in the habit of collecting that data ethically and intentionally, which is really important. So if you're not tracking your connections yet, honestly, you don't have any leads and you have lost opportunities that are sitting in your inbox. Okay. So the first method was the manual method. The second way to bulletproof your business, if something goes dark, okay, this is a very simple form method. So if you are already using some sort of email service like Constant Contact, like MailChimp, and those are the 2 more like basic ones that I am thinking of right now. I know that there's other ones too. There's like, which is not as basic, but there's Active Campaign. There's Send in Blue, I think is what it's called. There's a lot of different ones, right? If you're already using something like that to send out emails to a list, which I hope that you are, but if you're using something like that, all right, those platforms, they do offer forms where you can create a form, and the form needs to be for something, right? A form where people enter their first name, last name, email address, maybe even phone number, which, like I said, I would include the option in there. You could create just a simple form and, add some text to the form as to what the form is for, right? So let's say you are giving away samples for something. I don't know if you sell product, like physical products, right? Or maybe you are giving away an e-guide on nutrition for women dealing with perimenopause. Okay. You don't need a full funnel for this, but if you had at least a form that you create in one of these little email platforms, that form is going to have a link, a URL. And that is the link that you would give out when you start the conversation with someone so that you can deliver deliver them that resource, right? Well, what happens is when someone fills out that simple form, all of their information is going to automatically go into your email database. Okay. So that's one way to do it that's not manually. All right. Another idea with a simple form is, let's say that you are going to do an online training, like a masterclass or a webinar or just a Zoom meeting, right? And you're going to do this on Zoom. Rather than just giving people the Zoom link to the meeting, make sure that when you schedule that meeting inside of Zoom, that you check the little box that says registration required. Because what happens is now Zoom creates a registration link for you to give out. And people have to enter their name, first and last name, email address, and there is an option to enter their phone number too. But this is a great way to start collecting emails and data if you don't have an actual CRM just yet, and you're doing mainly everything manually, but you're going to do a Zoom call. And again, rather than just giving out the Zoom link and not collecting those emails, use the Zoom registration link. Okay. All right. So here's what happens with that. When you start collecting that information using the Zoom registration link, you can download those emails and upload them to your email platform if you're using an email mailing platform. Okay. Like I said, like MailChimp, Constant Contact, ConvertKit is another one. So that's really helpful. All right. The third method is the CRM method. And this is my favorite method. And I will tell you this, whether you are just starting out in your business or you already have a huge email list, doesn't matter. Everybody, I believe, needs a CRM, a customer relationship management system. Okay. This is not just for, like I said, veteran business owners. These are going to be useful for any type of business owner. Now, what happens is from a CRM, not only can you create forms, but you can create really great automations like thank you messages, reminders. You can send out SMS messages, things like that. But what I love about it too is that rather than it just being a form, like a standalone form, you have very easy access to create a full funnel. And now is where the techie part comes in. But it doesn't have to be that complicated. They have tons of templates already that you can use. You just kind of like plug and play and update your own images and your content on those funnels. And then you connect a form to it. You add the emails to go along with it by creating an automation. There's tons of support and videos on how to do this. By the way, we can do this for you. If you're a client of ours, this is one of the services that we offer as a marketing client. And I also help you with this kind of back-end tech inside of our vault calls, just so you know too. Okay. But this is a great way to really now start to collect or create an email database for yourself and have more features as well, all in one platform. So I highly suggest going the CRM route. That's really important. Okay. And like I said, I think a CRM is great for whether you started your business yesterday or 10 years ago. I mean, hopefully if you started at least within a year, you are using a CRM because it's really needed. And so here's the takeaway. You don't own the internet, but you can own your own systems. Okay. And that's how you make sure that your business, your income, your clients, your growth, they don't disappear the next time that everything blacks out and servers go down and things start crashing. All right. So I'm going to do a quick little recap. So I want to share 3 really simple ways with different options of how to bulletproof your business so that you never lose touch with your leads, your prospects, and your clients. The first one is the manual method. And this is simply, honestly, I think where everyone should start. This is when someone comments on something, for example, you send them a DM rather than sending them the resource right away because they commented on a post where you were asking who wants this, right? You need to ask them, great. Give me your email address, even better, and phone number, and I will send that your way. Okay. And you need to keep track of all that in a Google Sheet, at least. All right. Second method is a simple form method. So if you're already using something like MailChimp, Constant Contact, ConvertKit, create a form from those. Use that URL, the link to that form, and that's what you're going to send to people for them to fill out so that when they fill that out, it automatically gets added into your email database. If you're doing Zoom calls, okay, rather than giving out the Zoom link, make sure that you give them a registration link. So require them to register, really important. And then the third method, which is my favorite, is the CRM method, right? Using a customer relationship management system like Go High Level. My favorite is the Funnel Gorgeous version of it, where you create the form that's attached to a landing page, a very simple landing page. They fill out the form. And then once that they fill out that form, it triggers automations, right? Of all sorts of things. But this is where the magic happens. And now you have all of that information in one place. And like I said, the takeaway is you don't own the internet, but you can own your own systems. And that's how you make sure that your business, your income, your clients, your growth doesn't disappear when there is a crash. All right. So I hope that you guys found this helpful. All right, guys. Until then, remember to stay social. Bye.